This is the series on the guiding principles on internal displacement, why and how they matter, being given to you by myself, Cecilia Jimenez-Damary, the UN Special Rapporteur on the human rights of internally displaced persons. In the previous video, we elaborated on Principle 25 on the state's primary duty and responsibility for humanitarian assistance and to facilitate humanitarian assistance for IDPs. In this video, delving deeper into the issue subject of Principle 25, I would like to introduce to you a framework for national responsibility in addressing internal displacement, which goes beyond the topic of Principle 25. You can download this document from the internet. As we already know, the protection and guarantee of the rights of IDPs rests on the duty holders, the state, the authorities of the states concerned where the internally displaced persons are located. The framework for national responsibility in addressing internal displacement is a very important benchmark in elaboration what this actually means. Indeed, states have continued to hold the primary responsibility in this regard. Now, the purpose of this framework is to provide guidance to assist governments in addressing internal displacement and in meeting their obligations. The framework also recognizes the role of other actors, such as humanitarian actors, human rights institutions, civil society, and donors. To introduce to you the framework, here is the list of what are called benchmarks, or 12 key steps for governments assisted by other actors to fulfill their national responsibility to address internal displacement. 1. Prevent displacement and minimize its adverse effect. In this regard, may I refer you to my thematic report to the General Assembly 2021 on the prevention of arbitrary displacement in the context of armed conflict and violence. Number 2, raise national awareness of the problem. Number 3, collect data on the number and conditions of IDPs. This is actually what we call profiling of IDP situations. Should you want to know more about this, do consult the website of the Joint Interagency Profiling Service, or JIPS, who provide technical know-how and facilitation on IDP profiling. Number 4, support training on the rights of internally displaced persons, and such training should be directed to government officials, civil society institutions, and of course the IDPs themselves should be aware of their own rights. Number 5, which I will read together with number 6, create a legal framework for upholding the rights of IDPs, and 6, develop a national policy on internal displacement. Indeed, IDP law and policy still remain to be a primary means to protect IDP rights, and many countries have started to do so. Number 7, designate an institutional focal point on IDPs. This is an important governance institutional issue, and you may want to consult the thematic report of my predecessor, Professor Chaloka Biani, on governance in internal displacement. Number 8, encourage national human rights institutions to integrate internal displacement into their work. Now, this is a recognition of the fact that internal displacement is a human rights issue and that IDPs have human rights. In 2019, I made a report to the United Nations Human Rights Council on this particular topic. That report has been a basis for implementation by many international actors supporting national human rights institutions and, of course, the human rights institutions themselves. Please read it. Number 9, ensure the participation of IDPs in decision-making. Indeed, this comes up all the time, as we have seen in the guiding principles on internal displacement. The international community welcomed my 2017 report to the General Assembly on this topic. Do read it. Number 10, support durable solutions. And of course, we will come back to that in more detail. Number 11, allocate adequate resources to the problem. And number 12, last but not the least, cooperate with the international community when national capacity is insufficient. As the framework says, taken collectively, these benchmarks constitute the framework for action fulfilling national responsibility for internal displacement. Thanks for listening and tuning in. In the next video, we will go back to the guiding principles on internal displacement and discuss Principle 26 on respect and protection of humanitarian actors. See you then.